No one tells you how quiet the change will be. One minute, you're helping tie their shoelaces and wiping peanut butter off their face. The next, they're in the same room, scrolling through a phone, barely responding in full sentences. It's not rejection, and it's definitely not personal. It's something called generational disengagement, a term most people haven't even heard of, yet it's happening in almost every family across the world. In fact, a 2023 study from the Journal of Child Development revealed that nearly 68% of children aged 10 to 16 reported feeling emotionally out of sync with their grandparents. Not because of a lack of love, but because they didn't feel understood. They felt irrelevant. And here's the surprising part. You don't need to master social media or know every trend just to reach them again. What matters more is learning how to step into their world without trying to take it over. The first way to instantly reconnect with your grandchild is this: ask, don't assume. Many grandparents mean well. They want to guide, to share what they've learned over a lifetime. But children today are growing up in a world louder, faster, and more pressure-filled than any generation before. What they really crave is simple. It's not more answers. It's being asked the right questions. Try asking them something they're not expecting. Something like, what's something you've been thinking about lately that you haven't told anyone? Or maybe, if you could change one thing about the world right now, what would it be? These questions sound small, but they open doors. They tell your grandchild, without saying it directly, that you're not here to judge them. You're here to understand them, and that changes everything. There's science behind this too. A 2020 study by the University of Michigan's Family Psychology Lab showed that when children felt emotionally understood by older family members, they were 37% more likely to share personal thoughts and feelings in the future. In other words, the moment you stop trying to teach and start trying to understand, they return to you. If this strikes a chord, if you've ever noticed this quiet distance growing between you and the ones you love, say so in the comments. Just write number 1 below so I know you're here. You're not alone in this. This isn't about fixing a relationship overnight. It's about opening one small window, then leaving it open long enough for something real to flow through it. Because when that connection comes back, when they begin to trust your presence again, it won't be because of what you taught. It will be because of how you listened. By the time most people reach their 70s or 80s, they've mastered the art of conversation. But with grandchildren, that same skill doesn't always translate, because words on their own don't always connect across generations. That's why the second way to instantly improve your relationship with your grandchildren is learning to speak their language without even saying a word. Let's be honest. The gap isn't just about age. It's about experience, technology, and the pace at which the world has changed. You might not understand every app they use or every reference they drop, and that's okay. You don't need to, because communication goes beyond vocabulary. Children today are trained to pick up signals, tone, body language, subtle shifts in attention. They've grown up multitasking, navigating both the real world and the digital one. And as strange as it sounds, they know when someone's pretending to listen and when someone's really present. That's your opportunity. Put the phone down. Turn off the television. When they walk into the room, make eye contact. Not for a second, but for as long as it takes for them to realize you're really there. In a recent study published by the American Journal of Family Communication, researchers found that nonverbal presence, eye contact, posture, and engaged facial expressions played a more significant role in emotional bonding with teenagers than the content of the conversation itself. In other words, how you show up matters more than what you say. So next time your grandchild is talking, even if it's about something you don't fully understand, like a video game or a meme or a YouTuber you've never heard of, lean in, nod, mirror their excitement, Ask a small question that shows you're trying. Something like, "And what do you like about that?" Or, "How did you first get into it?" These moments might seem insignificant, but they create something psychologists call micro-validations, little signals that say, "I see you. You matter." You don't need long lectures or deep life lessons to be remembered. You just need to make them feel like who they are right now is worth your time. And when they start seeing you as someone who shows up without judgment, without distraction, something shifts. The door that felt closed begins to creak open, and slowly they let you in. If this resonates with you, if you've ever watched your grandchild drift away and wished you could bring them closer, write number 2 in the comments. Because being present isn't about being perfect, it's about being willing. And that willingness, it speaks louder than words. Up next, we'll dive into the third way to bridge the gap. It involves a truth that most grandparents overlook, and it could be the key to making your relationship stronger than ever before. Here's something most grandparents never consider. One of the fastest ways to earn your grandchild's respect is to let them teach you. It sounds backwards, doesn't it? After all, you've lived decades longer. You've seen more, survived more, and grown through things they can't even imagine yet. But here's the paradox. Today's generation doesn't connect through authority. They connect through mutual respect. The third way to instantly improve your relationship with your grandchild is this. Ask them to show you something they love, not just out of politeness, but out of genuine curiosity. Let them walk you through a video game. Let them explain their favorite band or the way they use an app. Let them correct you on a trend, even if it feels silly, even if you have no idea what they're talking about. The goal isn't to understand the topic, it's to understand them. And here's the secret. When a grandchild sees you, someone from a different world and a different era, willing to learn from them, it flips a switch. It tells them they matter, that they're seen, that they have value in your eyes, not just as a child, but as a person. A study from the Journal of Intergenerational Relationships found that when older adults actively asked younger family members to teach them a skill, like using a new device or app, the emotional closeness between them improved by over 40% within just 1 week. Not because the grandparents became tech-savvy, but because they became open. This also models humility. It shows your grandchild that learning never stops, that respect isn't a one-way street, and that real connection doesn't depend on age. It depends on willingness. Here's a line you can try the next time you're together. Say, "You're always doing something interesting on your phone. Can you show me how that works?" Or, "I'd love to hear what you've been listening to lately. Play me a song." That invitation opens more than just a conversation. It opens the door to deeper trust. Because the truth is, kids don't open up to the people who know everything. They open up to the people who want to know them. If this strikes a chord, if you've ever wished for a way to bring your grandchild closer and now see a new path, comment number 3 below. Let me know you're still with me. Now, in the next section, we'll talk about one of the most overlooked secrets to building unforgettable memories, and it has nothing to do with what you say, but what you do. Here's a hard truth. Most grandchildren won't remember every visit, but they'll remember what felt different about being with you. That's why the fourth way to instantly improve your relationship with your grandchildren is simple, but often missed. Create a ritual. Not a one-time event, not a random outing, but something repeated, consistent, and uniquely yours. It could be as small as a Saturday morning phone call, a handwritten letter every first day of the month, baking cookies with a secret ingredient you pretend not to tell anyone, a walk to the same park bench, a made-up handshake, a bedtime story told the same way every time. Psychologists call these emotional anchors, and they matter more than most people realize. According to a 2019 study published in the Journal of Family Psychology, Children who experienced recurring one-on-one traditions with grandparents reported significantly stronger emotional bonds, even when they saw their grandparents less frequently than peers who had no traditions at all. Why? Because rituals create safety. And in a world that's constantly changing, children cling to whatever feels predictable, personal, and warm. It doesn't have to be elaborate. In fact, the simpler it is, the more powerful it becomes. What makes a ritual special isn't the activity, it's the intention. It's the feeling your grandchild associates with that moment. That this is something we always do. Just us, no one else. These little acts say, without needing to say it, "You matter to me. This moment is just for you." And over time, those tiny repetitions become emotional landmarks, places they'll return to in their memory, long after the details of the day have faded. It's what turns you from a relative into a legend. If you're still here and this message resonates, comment number 4 below. Let me know you're building something meaningful, one moment at a time. Because when they look back years from now, they may not remember what you gave them, but they'll remember how you made them feel every time that ritual came around. Now, in the next section, we'll explore something counterintuitive, a secret that can make your bond even stronger by doing a little bit less. Here's something few grandparents realize. Sometimes doing less brings you closer. In a world overflowing with distractions, expectations, and noise, many children, especially teenagers, are silently craving space. Not to be left alone forever, but to have a moment where they don't have to perform, explain, or meet anyone's standards. The 5th way to instantly strengthen your connection is this: become the safe space where they can just breathe. You don't always need to fill every visit with activities. You don't have to ask a million questions or keep a conversation going nonstop. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can offer is presence without pressure. Sit beside them while they scroll through their phone. Watch what they're watching without commentary. Share quiet time doing something side by side, even if it's just folding laundry or sipping tea. According to a 2021 report from the American Academy of Pediatrics, children and teens are increasingly overstimulated, facing constant input from screens, school, and social media. And one of the most healing forms of connection is what researchers call co-regulated stillness. That's when two people simply share space, calmly, without demands or judgment. For a grandchild, this kind of space feels rare, and when you're the one who offers it, you become rare too. This isn't passivity, it's presence. It's learning when to lean in and when to simply sit beside. It's knowing that silence doesn't always mean distance. Sometimes it means comfort. It means they feel safe enough to not fill the air with words. And ironically, when they don't feel pushed to talk, that's when they start opening up on their own. So next time they seem quiet or withdrawn, don't panic, don't press, just stay near. Let them know, even without saying a word, that you're not going anywhere, that you're here, steady and open, whenever they're ready. If you've ever sat in silence with a grandchild and felt unsure whether you are doing enough, this is your reminder. That moment might have meant more than you think. If this idea resonates with you, comment number 5 below, because sometimes love speaks loudest in the quietest ways. Coming up next, we'll dive into something deeply important: how to turn your life stories into a legacy they'll actually want to hear. Every grandparent has a vault of stories, some funny, some painful, some filled with lessons you learned the hard way. But here's the truth: a story only becomes a legacy when it's told in a way someone wants to remember. The 6th way to instantly deepen your bond with your grandchildren is to share your stories, not as lectures, but as gifts. Many grandparents fall into the trap of storytelling that sounds like advice. It starts with "when I was your age" and ends with a warning. But kids today aren't tuning in to be taught. They're tuning in to connect, to hear who you really are underneath the title of grandma or grandpa. So change the way you tell your stories. Don't start with what they should learn, start with what you felt. Instead of saying, "I worked hard every day because that's what you're supposed to do," try this. "There were mornings I wanted to quit, but I kept going because I didn't want your mom to see me give up." That's not just information, that's emotion, that's truth, and that's what sticks. Studies in narrative psychology, including one from Emory University, show that children who know more about their family's history, especially personal struggles and triumphs, develop higher self-esteem, greater resilience, and a stronger sense of identity. Not because the stories were perfect, but because they were real. Your job isn't to impress them. It's to let them in. Show them your awkward moments, your heartbreaks, your decisions that went wrong and how you recovered. Show them your humanity. And here's something powerful you can try. Record one memory on paper. Not to publish, not to post, just to share with them someday. Maybe about your first love, your first job, or the scariest choice you ever made. Hand it to them one day, unannounced. Say, "Thought you might want to know a little more about me." You might be surprised at how much they treasure it. Not right away, maybe, but eventually, those words become part of them. If this section speaks to you, if you've lived a story worth remembering and want to pass it on, comment number 6 below. Let us know you're carrying something powerful inside you. Because when you speak your truth with openness and humility, you don't just pass down memories, you pass down strength. Next, we'll uncover the 7th way to connect, and it involves something most grandparents never expect from the next generation: honesty. Every child, no matter their age, is carrying something they're afraid to say out loud. And most of the time, they're not looking for answers. They're looking for safety. The 7th way to instantly improve your relationship with your grandchildren is to become the one person they can speak to without fear of being fixed. Because here's what no one tells you. The more you try to correct, the less they'll confide. But the more you allow their truth to simply exist without trying to solve it, the more they'll bring you into their inner world. Think about this. How many times have you stopped yourself from saying something real just because you weren't sure how the other person would react? That hesitation is exactly what your grandchild feels, especially if they're dealing with things like stress, identity, fear, or failure. And make no mistake, kids today are dealing with a lot. According to a 2022 report by the National Institute of Mental Health, nearly 1 in 3 teens now struggles with anxiety or depression symptoms. And many of them stay silent, even around those who love them most. So here's what you can do. When they do open up, even just a little, don't jump in with a fix. Don't compare it to your own story right away. Don't dismiss it with, "You'll understand when you're older." Just listen, nod, take a beat. Then say something like, "That sounds really hard. I'm proud of you for sharing it with me." Or even just, "Thank you for telling me." Those words are small, but they're powerful. They tell your grandchild that they are safe with you, not just physically, but emotionally. And that safety becomes sacred. When they know you won't panic, won't shame, and won't make it about you, they'll come back, again and again. Not every visit needs to get deep, but when that moment comes and they finally decide to open a door, they'll remember who stood outside that door patiently, without pushing. If you've ever wished your grandchild would trust you more, or if you've ever felt helpless watching them struggle, this is your moment to shift that. Not with advice, but with quiet presence. If that resonates with you, comment number 7 below. Let me know you're ready to become that safe space. Coming up next, we'll talk about how giving up a little control might just give you everything you've been hoping for in return. Every grandparent wants the best for their grandchildren, but sometimes, in trying to protect them, we hold on too tightly to how we think things should be. And without realizing it, that grip, tight with love, can slowly push them away. The eighth way to instantly improve your relationship is one of the hardest, but it's also one of the most transformative. Let go of control. Let go of needing to be right. Let go of insisting they see the world the way you do. Let go of trying to guide every choice, correct every mistake, or shape every belief. Instead, choose something even more powerful: trust. That doesn't mean turning your back. It doesn't mean agreeing with everything. It means showing them you respect their right to make decisions, even ones you might not fully understand. Think back. How did you feel when someone tried to force you down a path you didn't choose? Maybe they had good intentions. Maybe they were even right. But if they didn't trust your ability to learn on your own, the lesson never stuck. Your grandchildren are the same. They're figuring things out in a world that's more complex, more digital, and more divided than ever before. They need guidance, yes, but more than that, they need permission to grow into themselves. When they feel judged, they retreat. But when they feel respected, they rise. Here's a phrase you can use that changes the whole dynamic. Say, "I may not understand everything you're into, but I trust you're learning how to handle your life. And I'll always be here if you need me." That sentence, soft, honest, unconditional, does something incredible. It removes the battle for control and replaces it with a bridge. And that's where closeness begins. A 2020 family study from Stanford University found that when teens felt their older relatives accepted their autonomy, they were twice as likely to seek advice and emotional support in return. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Let that sink in. At the heart of every strong relationship lies one quiet truth. It's not about grand gestures. It's not about perfect timing. It's about consistency. The ninth and final way to instantly improve your connection with your grandchildren is this: show up. Again and again. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when the response is small. Even when you're not sure it's making a difference. Because it is. In a world where everything changes, where friends come and go, where trends rise and fall, you can be the one constant. It doesn't take daily phone calls or long weekend visits. It could be a text that says, "Thinking of you," a birthday card in the mail with a memory tucked inside, a quick check-in after a big exam, a note slipped under their door, a meal dropped off with no expectations. These are small things, but small things, repeated over time, build empires of trust. A Harvard study on lifelong happiness, one of the longest of its kind, found that consistent emotional support from grandparents created higher levels of resilience in children well into adulthood. Not because of wealth, not because of advice, but because of presence. Predictable, reliable, loving presence. So here's the truth. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep showing up. Let them take their time. Let them come to you in their own way, but keep the light on. Keep the door open. Keep extending the invitation, even when it's not accepted right away. Because one day, it will be. And when it is, they'll already know where to turn. Straight to you. If there's one thing you take from this, let it be this. Your relationship with your grandchild doesn't depend on their age, their interests, or even how often they visit. It depends on something much quieter, something far more powerful. How safe do they feel around you? How seen? How heard? How remembered? The steps we've covered. Asking without assuming, listening without fixing, showing up without fanfare. These are tactics. They're reminders of the kind of grandparent you already are, and the kind they'll never forget. Maybe the door to that connection has been closed for a while. Maybe it's just slightly ajar. But here's the truth. It's not locked. It never was. And what you do next, how you choose to speak, to pause, to reach out without needing a reason, that's the key. So the next time your phone lights up with their name, or the silence stretches too long between visits, ask yourself something simple. What small thing can I do right now that they'll remember for the rest of their life? And then do that.